evening, fellow Toastmasters. My name is Chris Velasco, and I am the District 38 Education Chair. And I am very excited. This is the third installment of our series, Building Your Community. And tonight, we're only taking the VPPR position and going into a little bit of a deep dive. What we've seen from the breakout sessions is that there are still a lot of different people that they're just not sure what direction to go into. How much should they, put out in their flyers? Should they try this, try that? They're looking for a lot of different answers and helpful tips. So I invited different members of District 38, and I'm going to introduce each one. Well, actually, I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves and tell about their VPPR background. And then we're going to dive in with some questions. And if they have anything to share as they're answering those questions, then that's fantastic. So we will have a Q&A at the end. The last 30 minutes is all Q&A. Write your questions down and we will get to everybody. So first, I'd like to introduce Jeanette McVeigh. I met her at officer training the very first year I became an officer back in 2017. And I've been impressed with everything that she's done ever since. She's a member of Lower Bucks, Washington's Crossing, Union Public Speakers. But Jeanette, tell us about your Toastmasters history.
Great. Well, good evening, everybody. I assume we're all in the same time zone. I'm used to saying good morning, good evening, good afternoon when I work. So I'm glad that you're all here and taking some time to learn a little bit more about how the PR role can help your club thrive. I also belong to a corporate club Chris didn't mention, Standards of Excellence. I started that club at my office. So I belong to 3 community clubs. 2 of them meet in person, 1 meets completely online, and my corporate club meets completely online because we truly are international. We have people from all over logging into that call, and that's a lot of fun. I joined in, oh my goodness, 2012 is when I became a Toastmaster, sort of by accident. That's a story for another time, but it was one of the best accidents I've ever had in my life. It's been life-changing for me, the friends I've made, lifetime friends as far as I'm concerned, the things I've learned, the growth I've had personally and professionally. I'm not sure where else I would have been able to do the things I do because of the things I've learned through Toastmasters and all the years of digging in and not just being an observer, but being involved. I now serve the president of my son's football booster organization. I've been secretary of boards. I'm the president-elect of Langhorne Rotary. I wouldn't even thought of doing any of those things if I didn't get the experience through Toastmasters. And even the PR positions helped with a lot of that. I do a lot of the PR stuff for my Rotary Club because of all the things I've learned. Hopefully I'll be able to share some fun, maybe cool things. I'm not really sure, Chris. There's a lot of pressure there, but I'll do what I can. I'll share any bit of knowledge that I have with anybody who asks, and you might be sorry you asked. I'll just leave it at that. Back to you.
Thank you, Jeanette. And as you can see, Jeanette has a wide range of perspective for the VPPR position. In-person clubs, online clubs, corporate clubs, international. So she's got a lot to consider as a VPPR and a lot of things to keep in mind as she's doing her promotions. Now, Trisha, I met Trisha when I was an area director and I was reporting into her as my division director. We worked together on many different projects over 2 years. And then we both found ourselves at the ETS Youth Leadership Program. And now I'm a member with her in a community club, Midday Toastmasters. So Trisha and I also go way back. Trisha, tell us about your background.
Hello, everyone. Jeanette, I am pretty used to saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and I love it that way because I am a traveling Toastmaster, and also I like to attend many online meetings across the globe. I get to attend meetings. So I like to keep it that way, my greetings. So here is my Toastmasters journey started 2000 December 2016. And the reason I want to tell you why I said yes to Toastmasters, because so since my childhood, I've been speaking, and all that I used to hear that, oh, she is great and she did great, and every time, like, amazing, great. But it was only my mom or my siblings would say that, you could have done better, you could have done this, that, and all. So I grew up listening to people telling me that I'm great. But when I first I came to know about Toastmasters, that there's a speaking club at BMS, I think somewhere around Princeton, and I joined as a guest, and I was amazed. There, people are actually evaluating and and saying things like, "Oh, you could do better," and I would love to see your speeches doing better, making it better this way, that way. So there was this amazing constructive feedback, and I immediately just within, in my heart and mind, I said, this is the place I have to be, because I am 100, more than 100% sure I can really be better, as my family, my siblings, my mom used to tell me. So that's my first and foremost, and I always remember this, why I joined Toastmasters. Now, holding the VPPR position, I've held VPPR position before. I'm the current VPPR for my club, but I also always have found myself to be in love with microphone and somehow connecting with people. I'm a radio talk host, I'm a podcaster. I do a lot of work with where people are involved, and I just love how we can bring about amazing stories. But the most important thing is that we are able to communicate with each other. So it is always that I try to look for, okay, so what's next? What's next? Having having performed the other district roles, club officer roles, I was looking for something even more challenging on a district level. As the What does the public relation do? How do we go beyond the club and use the skills? For what sort of skills would be used? What tools would be used to really have the district out there and connect with people, like each and every person in the district? Well, that's my dream. So here I am. I'm the district public relation manager, and I have a fantastic team. I have formed a committee, and well, I'll remember, this is not my team's promotion here, but it is VPPR, and I'm so glad, Chris, that I'm here, and I'll try my best to share as much as I can and also answer some questions. Thank you so much, Chris, for having me. Thank you.
No problem. And lastly, we have Leslie Arnold. I met her when I was the club retention chair for the district, and I paired up her club with a club coach. And I've been watching her from afar, and just I'm in awe at some of the presentations I've seen her done, even at our district conference. I was just totally amazed. So, Leslie, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, Chris. Hi, everybody that's been introduced. Hi, all our participants. Notice I didn't say any good morning, good evening, but now I did. All right. And Chris, you're way too kind. But I have to say, what's kept me in Toastmasters is exactly that. The amazing positivity that generates and regenerates and keeps people going. And more importantly, is how many, I don't want to say things. What a bad Toastmaster word choice. How many possibilities exist for what a person can end up participating in, doing, achieving, evolving in through Toastmasters? It never ceases to amaze me. And just when you think you're going to you are going to kick back. Somebody says, hey, I think I could ask you to. So if you've ever been in that situation, we all know that. Yeah. Oh, wonderful, Jeanette. Plethora of opportunities. Yes. Your word memory is working much better this evening than mine. Wonderful. Yes. Along with making presentations, I have an extensive background in journalism and also producing some presentations that work for anything from constructing Captivate, where it's an in-tune learning package. I've done some flyers, but what has been consistently appearing on my agenda of things to do for many, many years is creating a newsletter, a newspaper, communications, I almost said propaganda. Woof, I guess I'm hearing that word too much in the news. Certainly not propaganda via Toastmasters. However, with that background, that all began when I began teaching journalism and never stopped teaching journalism during a 35-year career in public education that morphed into developing careers courses, communication courses. When I began, as you can just well imagine, I said 35 years. I didn't tell you how long I've been out of public education. But many years ago, when we first started, and some of you will say, you did what? We produced newspapers for the school on paper. That means we were sending our copy in to have it printed, then having it sent back, and then we'd cut it all apart and lay it out on grids, and then we'd send it back to have it produced on a layoff press, and it was just a very time-consuming procedure. Producing any kind of communication where you have to edit, go back, it's always time-consuming. But I've always enjoyed it because I enjoy the creativity side of it. I enjoy the fact that I am a strong proponent of solid news written in solid news style, although newsletters have morphed quite a bit to just being links to things, but that's the beauty of what communication and software and the digital world has presented. So now I find myself working with Trisha. We are a PR team. We have other people, as she's indicated, but the newsletter is now going to be published twice a month. And that's quite a feat. Thanks to our, with Trisha as a strong leader, organized leader, and very positive supporter, I know this will happen. Back to
Thank
you.
you, Leslie. And we're going to talk about newsletters in a little bit, but I want to start off my questions, and I'm going to direct this to Jeanette. You belong to a corporate club, multiple community clubs. The advertising, the promotion of your clubs must be very different. How do you describe, your plan for a community club versus a plan that you have for a corporate club?
Of course. So other than the main difference between a corporate club and community club, in my experience, is a corporate is closed. And typically that's because it belongs to some organization, and it could be logistically because they can't let people in the building or whatever it is. And then every other kind of club is sort of a community club, in my experience. And there might be other versions of that. With the corporate club, we are not allowed to have members that aren't part of our organization. Therefore, the PR is all internal. And the biggest challenge to that is everybody's so busy at work, right? And we meet during the work hours purposefully because people were like, I'm not going to do anything that's work related outside of work hours. But we got the buy-in from management and HR to hold them during the day, and didn't have to be lunchtime. It could be whenever would work the best. So our PR for that is very specific and limited audience. And therefore that leans a whole other challenge. So we do open houses. We sometimes get budget, or we plan them when we know other food is being brought into the building, and we say food will be provided, because if you feed them, they will come. That's usually what happens. And that helps. And it's part of also the onboarding process. my fellow Toastmaster helped start that club there. She's in HR, and we made sure it was part of that. So that also helps. So there's a little bit of PR, and that way, anybody here belong to a corporate club? You can raise hands. So there are, yeah. Is that
Mhm.
corporate club just corporate, Chris, or are you open to the?
Yes,
community?
no, it's
Okay.
only for employees. It could be any location
Yeah.
throughout the United States, but, yeah, just employees.
Marie, I don't know if you're raising your hand to tell us you're part of a corporate club or have a question. And Chris, are you okay with taking questions at any time? Or
Oh,
how do
I
you
want
wanna
to
do-
save the questions till the end because
Okay.
there's so many things we want to go through.
Okay. So Marie, write that question down if you did have a question, and there's a corporate club open to outside guests. So that to me is a hybrid or community club. And that PR is also very different, but community is going to focus, corporate's going to focus just internal. You want to get HR and management buy-in, you hang flyers up on bulletin boards, you use your intranets. Sometimes we use on Viva Engage, which is part of the Microsoft suite. It's sort of like social media, but internal only. And we post things from our meetings there. We use Microsoft Teams to schedule our meetings, and we add everybody to the team that even looks in our direction. So then they get all the updates. And they can opt out anytime they want. But a community club is very different because you basically have anybody in your local area. When you meet in person, two of my clubs meet in person. So we are restricted, but restricted basically by geography. And we're in Levittown, PA. If you take a look 30 minutes outside of that, you're even hitting into Northeast Philly for potential members. You want to figure out what it is about your club that's going to get them to come. So Washington's Crossing, they meet once a week. What we do with that club is we say, oh, you don't have a lot of time to commit to Toastmasters? Come to our one meeting a month for 2 hours and get what you need. That's what's required, 2 hours a month, pretty much from Toastmasters to have a club, usually 2 1-hour meetings. They meet once a month for 2 hours. So for that busy professional, and that's the wordings we use, for the busy professional who wants to just practice, come to this meeting once a month, first Wednesday, and that draws some people in. My other club, Lower Bucks, meets twice a month for 2 hours. So there's 4 hours of Toastmasters. So we have a different spin. Get double your money back, or your ROI is doubled because you get 4 hours a month versus month. So you have to figure out that spin, and of course, location. If you're not meeting in a great location to begin with, the one that's not accessible, you have to sort of figure out how else to get them in. And when you're thinking about your audience, you just really have to figure out, what's your tone and what's your focus and your style when you're creating a flyer, maybe to hang up at a Panera Bread or at a local library. What's the message going to say? Your flyers, you don't want them to be too busy, because then people will just sort of look at it and think, oh, that's a pretty graphic, but they'll never read the rest. So you want to have like a thing, a saying, like too busy to better yourself is the one we use. I can actually share my screen because I'm looking at something to remind me what I wanted to say. I might as well throw it up on the screen. So this is a PowerPoint I started to put together. So these are 2 flyers. So the one on the right is for Washington's Crossing. Too busy to better yourself? People will pay attention. And we provide a QR code. We don't type the link down for them to have to type it in on their phone. They're looking at a bulletin board as they're walking by. They snap that QR code. I forget what that one does. I think that might send a meeting request, like it opens up an event for their calendar, which would then remind them. So you have to figure out what it is. Now, these aren't necessarily perfect, but these are ones we've used in the past. So this one here on the left is also for Washington's Crossing. We had an open house, and we hung that one up specifically in Panera and a couple local places that had community boards. So you don't want them to have too much information, but enough that's going to catch. And make sure you're brand compliant. Everything on here is the right colors. Which goes to, and I can share this PowerPoint anytime, to some links for like the brand's manual. There's an online version of the brand manual. These are really good tools for any PR person. There's Canva templates that are out there that Toastmasters, I think it's somebody Toastmasters that produces them. And then there are other marketing resources on our district website as well. These things are saved in my favorites, and I refer to them on a regular basis. But when you're creating anything, and if you put that Toastmasters logo on it, it better be brand compliant. So be really careful with that. That's our job as PR people, to protect the brand. But that's the basic difference. You have to really understand who it is you're targeting, and in any sort of, whether it's an email even, and you're just trying to reach out maybe to where we meet is the senior center. And somebody from the senior center approached us and said, hey, we'd like our seniors to be welcome. I'm like, well, anybody's welcome, absolutely. But the messaging to that group might be a little different than I might try to get to a bunch of
Mhm.
young professionals in the area. So you always have to be mindful of your audience and construct your flyers and your messages accordingly. Does that help? It's a lot of information, I know, but it's recorded.
It's
You can always listen.
fantastic. And
Mhm.
and it does remind us of that presentation that we used to give in the past, know your audience,
Mhm.
to cater to your different audience. If you want to get the people that are changing their career path or need interview skills, the stay-at-home mom that's going back into the workforce because now her kids are full-time in school, you need to just tweak those flyers with a different
Mhm.
message.
And,
But
and
I
I use
love,
Chat GTP often. I'll throw out what I want and I'm like, give me this for the busy professional, give me this for this the retiree, give me, and they'll just give me phrases that I'll change on the flyer that then I have multiple iterations of the same flyer, but they're going to different people. Don't be afraid to use AI.
and we do have a master class coming up about using artificial intelligence. So that's a great promo. But when you were talking about your corporate club, I
Hmm.
love how you said that HR has committed
Mhm.
and it's part of the onboarding process. So all new people are told about the club.
Yeah.
But what about, is there any way just to send that mass email out or?
We do. We actually have monthly WhatsApp meetings where the whole organization's invited, and there's a lot of different topics on there. But any group, whether it's the marketing group or the training group, the Toastmasters group, the retail group, whatever, they can say, oh, here's something new, and they can get a couple minutes in this all hands-on sort of meeting every month. And we promote it, I'd say 2 or 3 times a year, we promote the Toastmasters Club. And every time we have events, the event director. Her name's Kelly. She's not a Toastmaster herself, but she strongly believes it and she constantly promotes Toastmasters. You want to practice your presentation at the event? Contact Toastmasters. You don't have to join, you can just go practice, which is fine because typically when people show up, they'll typically stay. We have fun. So they realize the benefit of it. So that definitely helps. I think having people higher up buy in, having their buy-in helps promote, especially during review time. It's a constant thing. We get every time we have our reviews in May and June, we get more members every single year because their managers are behind it and they say, go join Toastmasters. Now, my company does pay for the dues. We do track attendance. I need to come to half of the meetings each 6 months, every dues cycle, but they'll continue to pay their dues. We don't have club dues, just the international dues. So that is very helpful. You would think everybody would be a member since they don't have to pay for it and they can meet during work time. It boggles the mind, but it's not for everybody. It's only for the smart people.
Well, I love the additional information, the getting the senior managers buy-in, and the fact that they may even be talking to their employees during review time,
Mhm.
telling them this is great for professional development. Anyone that has a corporate club, that is another avenue for you. Send an email to the top leaders and promote the club, the skills that can be brought to their employees, and maybe even have a special event just for the higher ups so they can get an idea of just how important it is. Now, Trisha, with community clubs, social media seems to be a big draw. So, what social media do you use in advertising your community clubs? And do you seem to get more traction from one versus the other?
Thank you, Chris. Absolutely. Social media is a big attention drawer, I would say. I have used Facebook a lot earlier, and but recently I've made some changes. I'm also expanding into LinkedIn and Instagram. TikTok, not that much, but I want to tell you that Facebook is a big drawer of people. Um, I heavily use Facebook, and that's where I have received many besides positive response. Also, we have had people come in, join meetings as a guest, and we have had success with Facebook promotion. Now, social media, as soon as from my experience, I'd like to say that social media now it has become such a part of our life that promoting any small event or anything. First of all, of course, make sure that the club, that is my club, I'll talk about my club, Midday Toastmasters. We are on Facebook. When I started with Facebook, we had about 6 or 8 um, followers or just likes or members. And today we have more than 200, maybe slightly more than that. But Facebook, everybody is on Facebook. I do see that, yeah, everyone is on Facebook. And it's just that not only having our own club on the Facebook, but also becoming a member of district has given us district, that is Toastmasters District 38. So we have a official page, in Toastmasters District 38, within which we also have Toastmasters. It's a private group. It's only for the Toastmasters District 38 members. We have about 427 or 26 members now in the private group. That is a complete, that's an entire, that's our Toastmasters District 38 members only. But the page could be anyone. Anyone can join the page. However, what I'm trying to bring to you is that it is not only important to have your own presence as the club page, but also connect and follow, become a member of the groups that you believe would give you the result that you want. Now, connection and communication go hand in hand. I've seen these as you. Did you ask me, is it okay if I go a little bit more detail how we go about Facebook, or
Well,
are
do
you
you
okay?
use a flyer and then provide the details, or do you just post a flyer
So
in
what
Facebook?
Yeah, so what we do is, okay, so what I do particularly is I give a lot of attention on the kind of wordings that I'm using, the hook words that I use to attract, and also use hashtags. Um, Even when I'm having a flyer or just a picture, just a club event picture, flyer I'll come to next, but I have noticed that it is the hook words, attention grabbing words, the hashtags, the mentions, you do that mention with at,
Mm-hmm.
hashtags, the mentions brings in um, newer members, I won't say, but potential Toastmasters, I would say. We have received quite a lot more attention through Facebook than any other platform. But for this year, I have plans of using LinkedIn I have done it before, but not much of success, I would say, or attention I have received earlier. But that is my goal, that more expanding into LinkedIn and also Instagram, because also we have inducted um, young Toastmasters, if I can say, college sophomores, college graduates, and that's what we are trying to attract. We have recently had 2 new college graduates in our club joined as our Toastmaster midday member. So that's a great way of opening. We are a community club. So it is always a great idea to open it to the public. It is right there. And then you start seeing the results. This is just social media on Facebook. But the
Mhm.
younger generation, I have noticed that they are more on other platforms like Instagram, which we are expanding into now, and also TikTok. But I'm not using TikTok as much as I see Instagram interaction has increased for our club. It's just using the hashtags and mention. So that has resulted in a very good, a positive result that I would say. But Facebook is, to answer your question, Facebook is still the place where I see that there's a lot of potential, and also there's a way to not only being there just with your club, but also reaching out to different groups. For one example I'd like to give, we have a Toastmasters District 38 VPPR group right there. All the VPPRs can connect. They can connect through the group. So we are just trying to. I just started the conversation there, and so there is a resource group, and as long as we are able to keep our eyes and ears open, and also keeping an open mind and connecting with like-minded people, and connections start happening, and you just start seeing results. So for now, Facebook is going great for us, and it
Okay.
will be.
And I know a lot of groups, what they do on Facebook is they'll put in the town name, and then you're going to get quite a list of various different groups. You'll get the garage sale group, and you'll get the, community soccer group and stuff like that. If you like all of those groups, become a member of those groups, then you can see whether or not you could post a flyer here or there.
That's
So,
right. Yeah.
okay. So Facebook. Now, Jeanette, I know you're very familiar with the district meetup, and a lot of clubs are not using this, but I think it's another opportunity. It doesn't hurt to explore. So, can you tell us a little bit about the district meetup?
I can try and remember about the district when we created it back when I was PRM, so it's been a while. But we created the meetup account, which the district pays for, but the way it's expensive, right? So anybody who uses meetup knows it's expensive. It works, but you have to put the time and effort into it. But what the district did back then is they created, I think, 5 or 6 geographical groups, like Trenton, King of Prussia. They looked at the demographics and came up with groups to do that. And then clubs can basically get 1 or 2 people from their club to become admin so they can post their own events under whatever group makes sense. So my club wouldn't post under King of Prussia because, well, we're near the Trenton, New Jersey area, even though we're Bucks County. There's a lot of activity out there. Now, Lower Bucks and Washington's Crossing years ago, because we didn't really fit under the Trenton, New Jersey group, because we're in Pennsylvania, we pulled out and we have our own meetup group. And the biggest tip I can tell you is it's one of the biggest draws for us. That is when we get most of our guests that attend, and we ask when people sign in, one of the questions, how'd you hear about us? So we track that. We do pay for it, but with each account, so I own the account because I did this years ago, you can have 3 groups. So I have 3 groups. I have my 2 Toastmasters Club and my Rotary Club. So they split it 3 ways. It turns out to be $120 a year for a club to do. So not every club has that money to do it, but we charge our club dues enough to cover that, and we have a room rental fee too. And it works really well. We get a return on that investment every year. But for those clubs that can't afford to pay that meetup dues, I would definitely check out the meetup account that the district manages with the different groups. And Joe Smith is the meetup guru now. It's been a while since I've been into that account. But if you reach out to Joe Smith, he can give you the information and give you a little training, but every club has the ability to have somebody or more than one person be a representative to be in that account to create your events for your club. It's been very powerful for my two community clubs. Union Public Speakers, they're the club that meets online as well. They use it. I'm not sure because I'm not the PR in that club, so I don't know off the top of my head. I'm just a member of a club, which is odd for me, but I'm just a member this year, so I don't know the statistics or the use of Meetup in their club, but I know it's available to them. And being an online only, they're not, the time and date is really their only restriction, because once you're online only, you can get people from all over the world. So I think needs to maybe be a focus on getting more people into that club, but we're working on that.
Hey, and I have heard a lot of success stories from the Meetup, the district account, using that. And I encourage everyone to check into it. If you go to the District 38 webpage, look at the district officers, and you will see Joe Smith is listed as the Meetup person. Send him an email, let him know that you are interested in getting your club on the district Meetup account, and he'll bring you through. Now, Joe is traveling right now, but I am going to have him as a guest on the master class, and he's going to go through how you use it and, be able to tell you if this is where your club is, use this group, etc. So we're going to take a deeper dive just into Meetup for the clubs that are interested. Let's see.
We have
Flyers.
Eileen. Chris, we have a hand raised by Eileen
I know, Eileen, we're taking the questions at the end.
at the end. Okay.
Flyers. Now, Jeanette showed us some fantastic flyers that she's created. And I believe, Jeanette, you said you use Canva.
Canva.
So, and Leslie, you also mentioned flyers when you were introducing yourself. So what applications do you know of that you like, that you prefer to create flyers, whether you're going to put them in social media or put them up at Panera? Leslie, you want to go first?
Oh, okay. You're asking. Okay. I was making sure that I was to respond first. All right. Thank you. Honestly, I'm an Adobe user, and Adobe Canva is a preference for many people. I know the district often references Canva. I have been on Canva. The only reason I don't use it as my go-to is because I have been an Adobe user for a long time and way back. But I learned many of the programs, and once you are accustomed to their interface, it's great. But what Adobe now offers, and anybody can get free access to this, you just have limitations. I have a pro account with Adobe, which allows me access to almost every application that somebody can imagine. And it includes this additional one that was launched, maybe 4 years ago, might be a little longer, Adobe Express. And Adobe Express is free to use. Just as I said, it has its limitations. I'm not sure what those would be. It's probably something like being unable to keep projects for a certain amount of time or whatever. I can't say enough about it because it has templates, just as Canva would, for everything from flyers to Instagram posts to Facebook posts to greeting cards to signs to labels. But what I like about it is that you will see once you pick what you want, you can search templates under a subject and you will see a multitude of templates. They're very easy to manipulate now. They have included some great revisions to it over time, which allows you to do a lot of your editing right inside the template. Just like other ones, you have to upload your image first before you can add it to your document, but then that might or may not be stored permanently if you don't have a paid access. But nonetheless, you can find, and the text you can manipulate real quickly. The drop-down boxes allow you to readily see everything. It's not a series of blank templates, and you don't have to search hard and far to find templates to use. I use it just to make headlines at times to include on articles. I have learned all sorts of shortcuts for it. So whatever you need, you can take any template, eliminate elements, quickly save it, and then it downloads as you can download it, at least in the version that I have, as a PDF or a PNG, depending on what type of file it is. From there, then you can do with it what you want. That's my favorite go-to software. I mean, I am capable of using Adobe Photoshop. You can do flyers in that. It's a much more involved process. You can make flyers in their Adobe InDesign, which is an official publication product. In fact, if you want to write your own book or you're ready to publish a book, you can lay it all out in InDesign. It does take a little bit of knowledge. I also have long run a professional tutoring coaching business and have shown people how to use InDesign. I'm not trying to up that, but if you find, whoa, this is a little overwhelming, you can get that. Adobe Express is fairly intuitive. So that's why I would push that one. Canva is just fine. If you have a paid subscription to it, then by all means. Canva is free though, with limited access to things. So you need to know that. I also see somebody noting that they use PowerPoint. PowerPoint's just a little more cumbersome, but I assure you, if you're familiar with PowerPoint, just check out Adobe Express. It's so easy. You just get on and you can add lots of bells and whistles. There are other things. You can
Nice.
do it in Word as well.
I never heard of using the Adobe Express for the flyers, so this is a new one for me. Wonderful. And I have to tell you, in taking the education chair position this year for the district, I had never used Canva. So, and I was told, oh, you got to do the flyers, you got to do the tiles for the district website. And I was freaking out a little bit, because at a short time frame before we were starting to roll with our first advertisement, but it was very easy to use. I'm not great with technology, but Canva was really easy for me just to absorb. And when you can download the Toastmaster brands, you have the fonts, the colors, all comes in. So it's so easy for me to pick a template. I change the colors to the Toastmaster colors, and then I do what I want after that. But I'm going to check out Adobe Express too. Now, Leslie, you had talked about a newsletter.
Mhm.
I'm going to lead in with this. A lot of clubs do a meeting recap for their existing members, or they may send it out to that extra list of guests, past members, etc., to just keep people in the loop about the club and hoping they're going to join back one day. And it talks about maybe who gave speeches, what was the table topic questions, and all that fun kind of stuff. But then other clubs actually put together a newsletter and really are there to impress people because they put it on their Free Toto site, or maybe they provide a link somewhere to it in a social media post. Tell me how you use news, like a newsletter with a club, or do you think it's better just to create more of a communication on the club level?
Oh, that's a circumstantial question. Or I should say, I'm going to give a circumstantial answer. I believe the club has a few decisions to make if you're going to proceed with a newsletter. One is a newsletter requires regular updates and regular sendouts. And that means that if the PR, VP of PR is not ready to do so, and if you have a larger club with other members, it does not mean, or it could mean, that the VPR could appoint somebody who would be very interested or would like that job. Yes, you can post it on Toast. Many of the newsletters that I've encountered are there. There are some clubs who have their own site, or obviously, if you have your own club and you want to send to past members and just keep it, or send it to prior guests, you can make it separately and send it out. In terms of communication, it's interesting to me that you called it a meeting recap. That must be like the new buzzword, because I'm seeing that here and there, and no longer in the regular workforce. Seems to me that that's the same thing as minutes from a meeting, although it can vary. What I love, both of my clubs, one of them is now transitioning into in person, we hope, a hybrid, one on, one off. My advanced club, we meet online. And when you use Zoom, I discovered almost immediately when AI was added to Zoom, AI will generate a summary of your meeting. It's amazing. And I ask myself, why would you add or detract from it? Well, what you can do is it can be incredibly detailed. So when you receive it, you get a link to it or a report, you open it up, and we all know that people don't want to read lengthy volumes of things at this point. So you can simply highlight things, summarize those, and put them elsewhere. In my advanced club, our VP of PR, he does decide to make his own version of a recap. He actually does it as an enlivened email where he puts in pictures. He might put in a group picture. He'll just indicate highlights and do it that way. So you can use an email, and if people want more, you could, and if you have a place to store your AI summary or your minutes, you can say, click this link for more information, if it can take you to your Toast site or whatever. But if you want to communicate and get out there fast, you want to do that within 1 to 2 days of the meeting. And if you just want to get the word out, you missed, hope to see you again next week or next time. If you miss these, please join us next time. I would encourage you to do that. And email is much faster. You can also build email templates in Canva as well as in Adobe Express. And if you want to build from scratch, you can do them in Word or Publisher, if you can even get a hold of Publisher anymore, and create those. You have to decide, and your officer group must decide what works best well. If you're going to do a newsletter on a regular basis, you have to have a committed committee or person to keep moving it out and not make it overwhelmingly big. And in which case, if you say we only have 1 or 2 items, then just go with an email.
Wonderful. I like how you said, really depends on circumstance and everything. Jeanette, have you ever used newsletters either for the community clubs or corporate?
We don't really, it's not a newsletter per se, but one thing we use Teams to meet at work, and it will give us a recap if we record it, or sometimes if we don't even record it, it does some AI stuff, which is kind of cool. But what we've started to do, and then the officers take turns, is we'll usually post in our Teams group a little summary, which will usually be funny. Like, hey, today we learned that Andrew likes spaghetti with only 1 meatball. Like, we bring in little bits of the meeting, and we also incorporate the word of the day. So we'll have a little fun. And sometimes, again, if I do it, I use ChatGPT. I'll throw a couple things. And I'm like, hey, make this kind of fun. And then link to the word of the day definition. So it's usually just like a paragraph, but it's more like, hey, here's what you missed. And it's just fun because it lets people know we paid attention to what they were saying and doing. When somebody gives a speech, we're getting tidbits always, right? We're always learning something about someone or something, and we can share that little tidbit that we remember, and that just makes people feel good as well. We'll talk about the table topics, answers. And the one thing our corporate club loves is we're always learning more about each other on a personal level in Toastmasters, which we don't always get that opportunity to during work, because it is a little more relaxed, a little more fun. And that's what a lot of people say is, wow, it's really great to, I mean, I have people from South Africa, England, Florida. That's not another country I know, but we have literally people all over the world that I might see once a year at our annual conference, but that's it. We don't get that bonding time, and that really helps. So these little snippets, and we all take turns doing it, have really sort of become that newsletter, right, for that corporate club. We don't blast it out to everybody, but there are a lot of people on our team site that aren't regulars or even members of Toastmasters. They just like to see that stuff. No, they stay in there. But for the other clubs, no, we've never tried a newsletter. Now we do use Facebook, and we do vote for Lower Bucks, like the best of the night, so the best table topics, the best speaker, the best evaluator. Then we get a picture of those winners, and we're always posting that to our Lower Bucks Facebook page, like, hey, nice meeting last night, a couple guests, the best of this was fun. And our new PR person for that club is starting to ramp that up too, which is really kind of cool.
Very good. And a newsletter or meeting recap minutes, whatever you want to call it, would also capture who gave their icebreaker, who
Mhm.
completed a level, all the celebratory things that the club meeting brings.
Yeah.
Trisha, you want to add to this?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I believe my club, Midday Toastmasters, could be one of the finest example of how we keep the connection going. There are a few things we do. We communicate on a very regular basis, not just the officers, but we involve our members, also the contacts, depending on what sort of information we are sharing. Also, uh, contacts on the Free Toast host who are not members or who had been past members, but they are still there. They've not said unsubscribe or things like that. They're just there. So we communicate. That's one, and on a regular basis, whether it's email, whether it's phone call, mostly email, and the officer and the members, the member of Toastmasters Midday Club, we are very well connected through email, and most importantly, our website. We use it as we all know that a piece of information, everybody comes in and just checks the website. So we use it very wisely, and all the updates. We do not have a newsletter from our club, but the website, the homepage itself, we use it as the newsletter, that it is always updated. We are constantly updating it with every meeting. So we are a hybrid club also, you can say, on Tuesdays and all on Saturdays. But we are also fully online meeting club on Tuesdays. So due to which we have a varied time zones members of our club as well. Yeah, that's why I said Midday could be one of the finest example of showcasing how regular communication using just simple methods by contacting with each other through email, through texts, and also keeping our website updated. Now, again, I would say that most of our club members are on Facebook. So we encourage everyone to check out Facebook, stay connected. And Facebook also is a great way where the word of mouth virtually has given us great results. We use word of mouth in terms of tagging a friend. I've done this in
Yeah.
the past, tagging a friend who had no clue about Toastmasters, and let alone Midday Toastmasters, but something interesting happening, and just tag that friend through Facebook. And next time, we have seen that friend have joined us, whether it's virtual or just in person. So keeping website updated, we do not have newsletter, but using that as a tool of communication on a regular basis. And I believe we'll be discussing press release later for not in this, right? So yeah, website and again social media, and keeping this connection on a regular basis with members and also past members. That's how we keep
Excellent.
yeah.
Thank you, Tricia, and thank you for the reminder. Your website pages, whether you use Free Toast Host or Easy Speak, if you do have a website that is able to be seen by the public, because most corporate clubs, they use a SharePoint or something totally different. But if it's public facing, that is your club's welcome mat. You want to make people feel welcome just when they hit your page. Use color, use photos, show people that you celebrate your members, as well as, some information about impressing them. Why do they want to go to your club meeting as a guest as opposed to another one that they found online? So use those websites. All right, it is 7:58, and I want to open this up for questions. So if you just hover down the bottom, you have a raised hand feature. If you click on that, raise your hand. I'll call everyone in order, but you can ask questions to Jeanette, Tricia, Leslie, and get advice on things, anything at all. So, hey,
Good evening, everyone. I had a question about whether or not any of you all were able to hold on to your VPPR role for 2 or more years. I wanted to know how it would be different to have the role for just 1 year as opposed to being able to retain the position for a year or 2 or 3. It seems that for me, and I'm a VPPR for a Toastmasters club in another district, it seems that for me that I may be able to hold on to my position for 2 years. I'd like to know if you all have any tips or advice about that type of opportunity with the VPPR role. Thank you.
Jeanette, you're off mute. You want to take?
Yeah, so I was PR a couple of years in a row. Sometimes it's hard to find officers that are willing to step up, and sometimes people are afraid to step up if they see somebody doing the job and they're doing it just fine. And that's where I think we need to say, I'm willing to do it, but I've also mentored people. So the current PR person at Lower Bucks, he was it last year, and then he had to leave the club for a while, so I took it back over, and he's like, hi, I don't mind doing it again, but you're doing such a good job. I'm like, no. Step up, you do it. I'll still be here. I'm not going anywhere. But you should do that. Now, if you don't have anybody stepping up, doing it more than 1 year in a row, there's no rule against it. There's no rule against being president twice in a row, although they don't like that. But I know some clubs that the president has done it twice in a row because nobody steps up. Somebody's got to be the president, right? I think even if you think about area directors and division directors, most of them will do it 2 years in a row. The first year they're learning the job, the second year they really fly. So if you have the opportunity to do it a second year, and I'm sorry I got a little distracted during your question. Kids came home, so I hope I'm answering it. Take that opportunity to do it, but maybe look for somebody who shows an interest because you've already got the credit for doing it for a year. Maybe hold on to it for that 6 months and then bring somebody in and let them take it over the second half of the year, if that person exists. And I know in some clubs that person doesn't exist and you end up doing it for the whole year. But I'm always looking around for somebody that's shows an interest in any role that I'm doing. Luckily, I've been every officer role but treasurer. I'm not interested in taking anybody's money. Somebody else can do that. And I'm always happy to do it, but I'm always happy to sit back and mentor as well. So there's that double-edged sword. Did I answer the whole question? So,
Yeah, I mean, if you can, take it for 2 years. Like you
Mm,
said, if you're
do it.
getting momentum, you
Mhm.
know, but if someone else is interested, mentor them and then they can take it after you do. Leslie, I
or-
know you had also raised your hand. Did you have anything to add? You're on mute.
Sorry, problem. As far as that goes, yes, but I also wanted to draw your attention. There were a couple questions posted in chat, and there was one directed specifically for me. So just to let you know that I think Jeanette has done a great job of indicating that taking on a role for a second time is always a great learning experience. And those of us who have done it, we can definitely testify to that. I would never discourage somebody from doing that unless the club has a policy and has enough members that the role must be rotated. But I would say that that club, and I don't know how many people do it, but there should be an onboarding committee or a transition committee, and the PR people need to work closely together when that occurs. That's it.
Good idea. Very good idea. Joyce, you are next. And Joyce has she does just about every role in midday, or she has. So Joyce, wait, oh yeah, there she is. What question do you have?
All right, out there. My question, it sounded like Trisha almost got into it, but then she cut it off, that maybe it's going to be a topic for another master class. I don't know. But Midday does media releases to newspapers and things like that. That Jim Samuel was a previous VPR, and he set it up. He has all these lists of media across time zones and even into Europe and stuff, figuring with
Wow.
Zoom, you can recruit from anywhere if you're one on that. So I wanted to see if with Jeanette and Leslie, if anybody else is using media releases to publicize their clubs, the community clubs. Now with us, like the 15th of the month is when we would send out a media release about the meeting dates for the next month.
I will respond with an example of something that I know a club has done in my area, and then I would recommend that Trisha be the better expert on this because she has much more experience on doing that. What I will share that in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, you know, where the Amish supposedly live. No, I'm not Amish. Like used to be a tour guide. You wouldn't believe how many people would ask me that. Anyways, there's a club in the area that a couple years ago they met with one of those, at least in this area and South Central PA. We have something that's put out there like it's entitled, depending on the area you live in, the penny saver, the merchandiser, whatever. I'm sure you all know what I'm referencing.
Right.
They actually connected with their local version of that, which is different from where mine is in Lancaster County. And the writer, the journalist, attended a meeting and gave them an incredible article on the front page, which I found wonderful because typically those publications cater to their advertisers who place it, and then you get an article about the company. I found it incredible that they got that kind of publicity. My point being, never overlook the smallest of publications. And with that, I think Trisha would be a great person to call on to answer.
So Trisha, what press releases are you familiar with?
Thank you, Joyce. Before thanking Chris, I would say thank you, Joyce, for. I knew that Chris would bring this up because we had a discussion, and press release is again Midday Toastmasters, all I know has been doing press release for like ever. So I have two, can I share? I have two documents, if I can do that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay.
While you're pulling that up, Jeanette and I were talking before we started,
Mhm.
and they use like the patch online. So don't forget about your online media
Mhm.
So
opportunities.
can you see?
We're
Is it
seeing your screen.
You're
okay? You
seeing your
are.
Zoom screen. Yeah.
Okay. 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 All right. So you can see my screen, right?
Well, we
Yeah, but
see the Zoom
your
screen. We
Zoom
don't
screen,
see.
not your document.
Why? Okay.
You have to
Not my
share
doc.
your the document.
Or go to it. Yeah, it looks like you're sharing your desktop. You just
Yes.
gotta
Yes. All right.
show it.
So here is, so you can see now, right?
News release template.
News
Yep.
release template. I just have that open, and I also have one of our latest news release that Jim released this one. So I just wanted everyone to take a look at the press release that we have few. We are also doing it on based on different time zones, but this is really the press release that we just released is here it is. But I wanted to show you, if anyone is interested, that how we do this. It's very easy. That, I would just go to Toastmasters International Resources and just type in the search bar news release template, and it would, or just sample news release. So that is exactly what I did, and download the template, and I have it right here. So here is the template. The template to follow, because we have to make sure that we follow the branding rules.
Mhm.
And this is the template we have, and media contact, and this is where the title goes, and subtitle, city, state, month, and whatever your body is. So I just wanted to share the template because um, we follow the standard, and hence I wanted to share that. And I also wanted to share with you our latest media release, that, and it is not just one. We have about 7 releases on August 15th, but targeting different time zones. As I mentioned earlier, that we are online. We are fully virtual on 2 Tuesdays of the month, and also we are hybrid on 2 Saturdays of a month. Now, this gives us, media release gives us gives any club, can give any club uh, a great opportunity to attract newer, I say potential Toastmasters, reaching out to different time zones. If you are an online club, or if you're a hybrid
Mhm.
club, if your club meeting happens entirely online, or it is hybrid, so anyone can join. You can just have anyone interested joining your club as Toastmaster, responding to these press release. I have an example, I would say, very recent example. During our virtual club meeting, we had someone joined, our meeting was on, and someone joined. And when Joyce, who was the Toastmaster on that day, Joyce asked, we asked our guest in the beginning, about them, and where are they from, and what brings them, the general question. And when Joyce asked her that, where are you joining from, and she said she read the press release, she was from Florida. Yes. And this is not the first time. It's not just one example, or it's not just one person or first time, but it has been happening. So press release is such a powerful tool, Joyce, you're right, and Chris, make this a point so we next time we have a master class or a session on that. It is huge. It's so powerful, and our club, Jim, has been using it for. I've been a Toastmaster for like more than 80 years, 8 years, but I've seen maybe more than 80 years we've been using. I just
Jim
exaggerated,
has a lot of
but
secrets up his sleeve for
yes,
advertising
but press release,
Toastmasters.
press
He is a
release is
wealth of
very
knowledge.
strong. It's very strong. Anyone, so Chris, make that a note. Make a note on
Yes.
that we must have. Yes, Joyce is
We have
right.
2 more questions that I want to make sure I get to. Marie, I saw that you wanted Leslie to have a class on Adobe Express. We have had master classes on Canva. Maybe we do need one on Adobe Express, but what questions do you have?
Hello everyone. That was one of my questions. When could we have a class? And when was the Canva class held? I'm very new to this role, about a few weeks in, so I would not have had access to this master class or heard about it.
So Marie, the district has a YouTube channel, and any master classes, or last year was called Voice Fusion, any of these classes that are recorded are posted on our YouTube channel. What I am going to do for this group is I'm going to be emailing out a list of various different links to prior recordings, as well as when we get the recording back from this class. So you can go out there and watch the tutorial on Canva as it was presented, I think it was a year or 2 ago, by Leslie Crudup, who is now vying to be the international speech champion. So I'll be sending out links afterwards, and hopefully Jeanette will send me her PowerPoint too. And she has a lot of different links in there that I think will be useful, as well as Trisha's example of a press release. So I'll send you everything, and you could at least watch the tutorial on Canva, and I'll talk to Leslie to see if I've already asked her to do one on being a facilitator. So, but I'll see if I can twist her arm and do an Adobe Express one.
Thanks. And my second question was directed towards Jeanette, because I am also in a corporate club, and she shared that she was able to get HR's buy-in. I wanted to know, how big is her company, because some managers do pay for the fees, but as far as notifying new employees, interns, and those type of employees about Toastmasters, I think it would be a good idea, but I don't know how big her organization is, because I work for a fairly large one, so that may make a difference in outcome.
Yeah, I think that would probably make a big difference. I work for a company called GS1, and I'm part of Global Office, so it's sort of like the parent organization, and we have 120 member organizations around the world. This club is just for the Global Office, which is about 140 employees, but they are all around the world. And for one of our member organizations, GS1 US, because they're in the same building we are. So I would say we probably have a 140 at Global Office. HR has the buy-in, but at GS1 US, it's not as heavy as a buy-in over there, and that is a manager by manager reimbursement, not a company paying for it. We're GS1 Global Office, where I am, is like anybody who wants it. Global Office is what we call ourselves. It gets paid for. So there's a slight difference. So we were 140, so maybe 160, much smaller organization as far as when we're covering the total dues. And it was an easy sell. The VP of HR was a member for the first 2 years of the club. That's how much she really bought into it. And we had our CEO came to our demo meeting. I mean, they really backed it. We scheduled it, they came, and 5 out of the 7 leadership team were at that demo meeting, which intimidated some, by the way. Shows it to be careful with that. We have some people who won't join because they don't want to do that with their boss in the room, which is ridiculous. But that's just the reason that I'm not going to argue with them. Obviously, they're not coming, but that might make it a little easier for us because we are a smaller organization. I don't know if that helps or not.
No, it definitely helps. It's
Good.
still something that maybe I can speak to the folks for our building because we have over 40,000 employees, so that makes so it's something.
What
a big
company do you work
difference.
for?
Well, I don't have their permission to, since
Oh,
this is being
that's fine.
recorded and
Okay.
it's a corporate club.
Yep.
But what I
Okay.
am going to do is I am going to approach the HR person
Mhm.
for at least our location and see what we can do
Sure.
for the
You can, sure.
Philadelphia. Yeah. But thank you. I thought that was a good idea.
Sure.
This has been extremely helpful hearing the different experiences and the different tools and tips that the various seasoned I don't know, Toastmasteries. I don't know, what should we call ourselves?
Marie,
But
you
thank
may
you.
want to invite someone from HR to come and give a presentation on interviewing skills or how to present yourself well in an interview. And maybe that'll get them to see how useful the club is, So it could sway their decision, you know?
Okay. Okay,
Sure.
fair. Thank you.
Charlene, you have a question?
I have a couple. All right, you spoke about using AI, and I'm figuring that this is for the Zoom meetings. Now, are you talking about down here where it says AI companion? Because we do a little, I hate to call it minutes as well, like a little synopsis. It's not really a newsletter, but I like for people to know what happened in the meeting to sort of catch them up. But I want it to look a little bit better than what they have been presenting, because what they've been presenting is sort of boring. So can I use the AI in order to spice it up? Like, what do I want to do?
Leslie, I think you were the one that mentioned AI.
Yeah, we used to have someone that did it, and then, but now
Okay,
she
I'm
stopped,
trying.
and I want to do something else.
I need to clarify what I think you're asking is instead of just taking the AI notes and sending them out, specifically, what would you like to have happen is how to trim them or present
Or
them?
how to, like, what does AI do? Because does it reword it and make it sound better? What exactly does AI do?
Okay, AI will give you very detailed summaries of what you just heard. And then if you click on that while you're in your Zoom meeting, and you may have, I think you have to set it up prior to add the AI extension, but it's very easy to do. And then you will receive a link in your email sending you the summary transcript from that. As far as, rewording it and making it sound better, for the most part, it's well worded. It's a summary, but I would highly recommend 2 things. You read through it and be sure that there's anything in there that you think should be included, but is not. And secondly, I'd go through and highlight the key points in the summary. And there is even a way when you first turn on AI recording, you can ask for a detailed summary or a highlighted summary. You may want to try one or the other for a meeting or just get the full AI transcript and then view through it. You could keep the whole transcript and just boldface sections, but it's a running summary is what it is. But if you ask for just the summary and highlights when it's finished, you actually get a better overview that might be more reader friendly. And I've sent that out and said to people, if you want a more detailed transcript, just contact me.
Now,
Does
how
that-
do I find that? Is that where it says, like at the bottom of your screen, it says AI companion. Is that what that
Correct.
is?
Yes,
Okay,
and you can
gotcha.
turn that on when you are the host. You can't
Mm-hmm.
really
Gotcha.
access it during well, you can, and then you can download it. Like I just checked now. I usually turn it on for our meetings, so I have it.
Mm-hmm.
But I just
Mm-hmm.
checked right now in this session, and you have the ability to say, catch me up, look for your name. You can ask for it to identify any action items, and you can
Mm-hmm.
also ask it to identify what topics have been discussed. So you have several options. What I would recommend is you try it out like in a small session
Mm-hmm.
with somebody else. Just try
Mm-hmm.
it, get familiar
Mm-hmm.
with it, and then use it. I love it. I get minutes from from our treasurer, our secretary in one of our clubs, well, both of my clubs, and they're very well done. And I've said, if you just turn on AI, you can make your job a lot easier. So,
Okay. And then last real quick question, because I see Joyce want to ask a question real quick. Trisha, that press release that you was talking about, how do I go about working that out? Are you going to do a master class on that? I need to know what to do with that. How do I send it out? Like, I need a little bit more information on that because you said it's such a great tool. I'm like, okay, so how do I work this tool? So will there
Absolutely.
be a master class on that?
Absolutely. Chris will decide that, but I know my guru is Jim Samuel.
Okay. Okay.
And
All right.
and yes, I believe he's taught me well. I've been
Mm-hmm.
trained well, and yes, definitely we should have. And Chris will do that. I just have one point to make, a point to make, add to the AI question, Charlene. You have
Mm-hmm.
from, so what we are talking here is from taking minutes of meeting perspective, but as a VPPR, what, how you can use AI is an entirely different game zone, I would say. And
Mm-hmm.
that is somewhere I would definitely like to, if we have a session on that, that is something I would definitely like to discuss, and also share some, not just tidbits, but also how I I foresee using AI for my VPPR initiatives, the public relation initiatives for the club, for the division, for the district, is something that I would like Chris, you to make a note on that whenever we have it. We must
Chris
have
is going
a
to be making
class
a
on
whole
that.
lot of
Yes,
notes.
yes, yes.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
that.
Thank you.
Chris, if
Oh,
I could just for a moment,
sure.
perhaps it would be more advantageous for Trisha and I and somebody else, maybe Jim Samuels, to do a 1.5 hour masterclass where a half hour of it is just a quick intro to Adobe Express. Trisha could just cover the email, the templates that she's referencing or whatever, and maybe just combine them together instead of doing
Sure.
a whole bunch of, so that it's just a quick intro because truthfully, to really learn Adobe Express, I could do a series, but I think somebody wants to do the
Yes.
newsletter, but if I quickly show them, they might say, oh, well, now I know I can do an email in here or I can do this, and just quickly show them
Hmm.
how to sign up, create an account, and go to find templates and get started. So I could do that very quickly. I'm sure Trisha could handle hers and any other onboarding application or anything else about resources, or maybe Trisha even might want to cover what different branding and logo material is available to download, just a refresher on that.
All right. I'll be looping back with you guys.
Thank you.
Joyce, really quickly, because I do want to give each of the panelists some time for final words. Did you want to just jump in on
It was just
the
a
AI?
comment, yes, on AI to Charlene. We've started using the AI summary as backup for taking notes. It's good as backup, but you have to have somebody who was actually at the meeting there to go through and double check, because there are errors. Especially we have people that have names from other countries, and AI does not necessarily understand that, or it thinks that the person that was speaking was the one whose Zoom, whose laptop was on, not because we have a laptop and people come to the lectern, and it may
Mhm.
assume everybody is the same. So
Okay.
coming from that laptop. So it's
Mm-hmm.
an excellent resource we're finding for a backup for taking notes, but we do have to check it and fine tune it. That was
Gotcha.
it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And Charlene,
Mhm.
as far as taking notes, that could be in your club, your secretary's role, not so
Mhm.
much the VPPR. You may
Mhm.
use the information to create a communication, that's going to be distributed, or use it for a newsletter or something like that. But this is where you and the secretary have to work out who's doing what.
I'm not even the VPPR, I'm the president. But I just like to know every role, you know. I want to know
Perfect.
everything so I could jump in and just add a little bit of seasoning everywhere. That's my role. I'm really the president, but I just want to know everything for my club to make sure we are taking it to the next level. That's where I want to go with my
Yes.
club.
Well,
Yeah.
that's perfect. And it is good that people learn about all of the roles,
Mhm.
because you do sometimes have to fill in for one another.
Mhm.
So what I want to do is quickly, last words, all right? Just a quick 30 seconds or whatever. Jeanette, what would you say to the fellow BPPRs that have hung in to the end?
Yeah, just never forget that while you might be responsible, you're not the only person that has to do all of the work. It's my biggest tip, because it can be a lot. It can be a lot. And if you just find somebody who's maybe all over Instagram and maybe your club's not doing it, ask them to be part of the team, and then maybe they'll be VPPR next year or in the next 6 months. Or, you have to always be aware of your folks and realize that you should leverage them. And some people are just dying to be asked. They might not step up, but if you ask, they'll probably say yes.
Mhm.
Great. Trisha, final words?
My final words would be never be afraid to ask. Connection, communication, and most importantly, the network that you create through these connections, and keeping a regular communication. But top of all is never forget this important this important power of asking that can bring wonders. Never be afraid to ask. Please make sure that you connect. And there is an amazing group which is in the building right now. We are trying to build it up, the VPPR connection, which is our district VPPR connection. Please connect with it. And as much as we can, stay connected and ask each other, share our knowledge, we can be successful. Thank you.
Fantastic. Leslie, any final words?
Great comments from my peers. I would say if you're not sure who should be in public relations, look for someone who's creative. And secondly, know that public relations covers a multitude of tasks. I would say focus in on the ones that your club feels would be most beneficial. Don't try to do it all. Have a plan. Also, set up a schedule, a calendar of what will go out when, and don't be afraid to call on other people in your club to write the email or put together this or send you pictures. Don't feel like you should not be doing everything. That's it.
Wonderful. Yes, there are 7 officers plus the rest of your club members that are there to assist you. So team up and form a group of you delegate who's going to do what. And I really think that it could bring the club a lot of success. I thank you all for hanging in. This was Building Your Community, support for the VPPR role. And next week, we have the secretary and the treasurer roles. Some of clubs, these roles have dissipated in responsibilities, but there's so much more that these two roles can do within a club. So we're going to talk about that next week. And Joyce Ruba is going to be one of the panelists. So please join us then and check out all the other master classes that we have scheduled. Register and join us and learn more about the skills of a Toastmaster, just how to improve yourself. Thank you very much and have a good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Night. Thanks, Chris. Great session.
Thanks, Chris.